Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Actors Area. Once again, I'm your host, Sean Grant. Starting off week 2 of 2017, rocking and rolling, ready to go, ready to turn things up and just enjoy life. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is just enjoying, being happy in the moment, and especially the topic that I've set up for you today is being able to let go of your resistance. And so in just a moment, I'm going to get into what can actually happen when we decide that we're not going to resist things anymore. All right. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Resistance. So you hear that word a lot. You hear it actually tons of times, in so many different capacities, used in so many different ways. But the way I'm going to talk about it today pertains to your success, pertains to your ability to progress at a pace that you divinely need to. And I say divinely because when things progress in a divine manner, they progress when they need to, no matter what anybody has to say about it from the outside. Things will progress divinely at the right time, at the perfect time, in the perfect order. And you have to understand that. And so this is one of the first pillars, I guess you can say, is where we need to start as it relates to resistance. And so how does this relate to our career? Let's say, for instance, 2016 was a year we just killed it. We did so amazing. We made so much money. We powered ourselves through, traveled to different places, made new friends, completed career goals, set more career goals, and it was just fantastic. And then now, hypothetically speaking, 2017 comes along, and what happens? Absolutely not even half of the success that you got. And so the danger comes in when we start to believe that every year is going to be like that. Every year is just going to be successful. Now, we're going to have some success, no doubt, but some years will just be what I like to call harvest years, and they'll be better than others, whereas a lot of the other years will be the time for us to be able to research and to grow and to understand what's going on in our spirit, what's happening to our soul when things aren't progressing like we feel they need to. Now, getting back to that pillar of foundation, you've got to trust life. You've got to trust that life is moving your life in a direction. And when I say life, I mean God, I mean the universe, I mean the powers that be are moving your life in a direction to where it needs to go in order for you to reach the most powerful fulfillment. And, you know, sometimes we as human beings have this fallacy of believing that we know what's best for our lives. In most cases, we do. But at the same time, there comes a point in your life where you have to take a step back and say, okay. What's really going on here? What do I really need to see? What is trying to be shown to me in order for me to grasp that concept, embody it, learn from it, and then be able to teach it to other people? And you have to ask yourself that, because that's going to be the difference between your success and failure. Now, resistance. Resistance comes in when we start fighting back. And I've been through this so many different times in my life. I know it like the back of my hand. You know, there's been situations where, you know, I'm just doing so much stuff, and it's so exciting and it's so wonderful, and things are so just unbelievably amazing. And then I go into this place, and I'm going to say struggle. And the reason I say struggle is because I resist the need to be in a season of research, a season of growth. And I find what happens is it upsets me. And I get, you know, nervous and just fearful about what's going to happen, how I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm not going to be able to do that, as opposed to just stay in the moment and say, you know what? this is how this is supposed to be. This is something out of my control. There's nothing I can do to change it. But if this is happening and it's causing something other than what I believe to happen, then the thing that's happening is in my best interest. See, when we take the time out to look at things like that, we take the time out to look at things from that perspective, that changes everything. That sets us up for so much success and so much what I like to call flow, that it just becomes easy, and it looks easy and effortless from the outside, but all you're doing is saying, you know what, I accept. You know what, I made $10,000 last month. I only made $1,500 this month. I accept, because there's a reason as to why this is happening. And trust me, if it's somewhere you're not supposed to be, you better believe God will nudge you forward into the area that he wants you to be at that time. But until then, if you're being called to stay within a place that is just seemingly difficult and not favorable in the least sense, just know that this time is preparing you for a greater time to come. This growth, this research time, this pruning, if you will, is preparing you for when you get to a place of harvest to experience more of it. So, and I say this because I want you to not feel like you're suffering, because suffering comes in basically when we resist. If you want to find the root of all your suffering, suffering comes from resisting the truth of the moment. And the truth of the moment is always right. Nature has been around for billions and trillions of years, the universe that is, so it knows how life should be run. We just don't come onto this earth, survive for 20, 30, 40, 50 something years and then say, oh, we know what's best. No, you get into trouble. You get into big trouble when you start to do that. And then you wreck a lot of the joy and the happiness that is set out before you, right? So if we can remember this simple idea, this simple tactic of just knowing that there has to be no resistance. We've got to be in acceptance. We got to be joyful about what's happening now, no matter what it looks like, because you can't always trust the physical. Like, you trust the physical sometimes and you can literally think yourself right out of a blessing, right out of a miracle, when in actuality there's so much stuff brewing beneath the surface spiritually that's ready to come out and ready to take over our lives and just give us so much bliss and happiness and joy. And it's exciting to know that. It's exciting to see what life can bring, what our careers can bring when we just accept. We just accept, The thing that kind of gets me a lot of times is the whole idea of the grinding syndrome. And I call the grinding syndrome, I call it that because it leads you to believe that you can press and press and press and press and press every day of the year and force things to happen. So you know what happens when you do that? Chaos. Chaos ensues, because you basically tell the universe that only my needs matter. Only my well-being matters. Only my grind matters. Now, we are creators in the utmost capacity, and we have the power to create so much. But at the same time, when you think about what I'm about to say, how is it that man knows more than the intelligence that has literally built and created everything around us? How is it that man can understand things that happen more than the intelligence that's been around for billions of years? Think about that. Think about that. Some of this stuff is not easy to deal with. Some of this stuff is will hurt. Some of this stuff will not be something that we envision. But at the same time, it's for our good. It's for our fulfillment. It's for our success. It's to help us to evolve, because ultimately you're here just to evolve and then to transition into the next phase of your infinite existence. You know, nothing stops after this life. It just keeps going. And ultimately, that's how you got to see it. That's how deep, how far you have to go when you're observing everything that's happening within your life. And to give you a bit of a story here, I used to be money crazy. I used to be really crazy about money because I was led to believe that it could solve all your problems. And from the outside looking in, it's easy to see how people can think that way because, you know, when you don't have any money, it seems like the world's crumbling down on you and stuff like that, and you can't do this or you can't do that. But the thing is, it's great to have money, and it's great to be in a place to where you can take care of what you need to take care of, but you can't allow it to be your driving force. And this is where a lot of people come into the place of resisting what they should be accepting. So once again, your sales are not as great as they were a couple months ago. So what? Let me press more. Let me drive forward and see what I can make happen. See what I can squeeze out of the universe to give to me. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, it doesn't work like that. I remember I had just started my own business, training clients, and immediately it erupted. I think I was training like 25 clients at one time or something like that, maybe around 20, not so much about 25, but it was a lot of people. And it was just an overflow. And it stayed that way for a few months, and it was perfect. You know, it was consistent. And then all of a sudden it all started to kind of dwindle down a bit. And this is another lesson that we'll talk about in a later show. But when stuff like that happens, a lot of times that's your key to kind of move on, to move to something else. So you got to be able to feel that vibrationally as to where your energy and attention needs to go when something like that happens. But at the same time, for me, when that did transpire, it wasn't about, oh gosh, let me go call this person up, let me call that person up, let me force these people into working with me. No, absolutely not. I realized at that point, whatever happened for a reason. It had run its course, and those people were leaving my life for a reason because something greater was getting ready to happen. And so by looking at it like that, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't nervous about what was going to ensue or worrisome about how this is going to be met or how that was going to be met. I kept telling myself, and I understand to this day, life continually works in my favor. God continually leads me to the path of highest good, the path of highest order. So when something falls away in the physical, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything's going to go to crap. It just means that something else greater is getting ready to come in and take its place. And so I leave you with that in itself. Understand that acceptance of all things will bring about the most fulfillment. That's simply put, that's the best way we can summarize it. You accept everything in your life right now. Make it a point. Accept it. Accept it, and accept it with joy. Accept it with happiness, no matter what it looks like. And you will find fulfillment because you'll start to see things from a new perspective. You'll start to see things from the standpoint of, wow, you know, I didn't really think about how this could affect me in this way, but this actually makes me happy knowing that it's happening. And so it's transforming. It's an entire transformation that allows you to once again to evolve to a higher level. And that's what we're trying to do in our career. That's what we're trying to do in our life, period. So with that being said, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure. Happy Monday to you. Have a fantastic week. We'll definitely be back here tomorrow. Good luck with any auditions that you have today. And if you are not auditioning yet, just stick with it. Keep doing your thing. Keep putting that right vibration out there, and things will happen for you soon. But take it one day at a time, moment to moment, and you'll be good. I'm Sean Grant. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. Take care. Bye-bye.